Again, on the lower end of the income scale, you're getting a lot more than what you paid in. If you're in the high income, you're not getting what you paid in. And wasn't that sort of the deal? This was not a general welfare system. This wasn't, this was really designed, we're gonna make you save for your retirement and then you're gonna get back what you paid in.
During a hearing on Social Security yesterday, Republican Senator Ron Johnson asserted that the program, which serves as an economic lifeline for literally tens of millions of Americans, unfairly takes from the rich to support lower income retirees. Now, during the Protecting Social Security for All hearing, not only did Johnson essentially insinuate that his own constituents are dumb for not understanding Social Security, he seemed to attack the program overall. And I want to show you what he had to say in this next clip.
When I talk to Wisconsinites, they just have a basic misperception about Social Security. I mean, I think this was originally sold as, okay, we are going to, as a nanny state, we're going to make sure that you're gonna have money for retirement, so we're gonna extract wages from, or taxes from your wages, and we're gonna set up an account for you so that we're gonna save it for you for your retirement, because we don't trust you to save for yourself. So most people think, well, that's my money. And in fact, a part of it is. But as Senator Grassley was talking about, if you're in the low income group, you're getting a lot more in return than you ever invested in.
Senator Johnson, I would love nothing more than for you to just get out of the halls of Congress and, for God's sake, please go do a national tour touting how much Republicans want to decimate Social Security. Want to know why? Why don't we go to his state of Wisconsin and see how ordinary Americans, not tremendously wealthy Americans like Senator Johnson, how they feel about Social Security. 84% of Wisconsin voters 50 and older say they would be more likely to vote for a candidate for Senate who will protect Social Security from cuts. So look, this argument that he's making is meant to essentially set the tone for cutting Social Security, for potentially privatizing Social Security, maybe even increasing the retirement age before an individual can collect Social Security. These are the various ways in which the Republican Party has fought historically and continues to fight today to essentially dismantle a program that is incredibly popular and again serves as a lifeline for tens of millions of Americans as we speak.
So do you remember that moment when Joe Biden said they were gonna cut Social Security and Medicare, or the Republicans were planning to do that, and the Republicans booed? They're like, boo, no way, that's not true. Well, you just saw it. Ron Johnson said that's exactly what we should do. He's like, oh, there's a misconception about how Social Security is good. It's not. It's a nanny state program, and they take money from your check, and then instead of giving it to me and my donors, they give it back to you with even more money on top. Wait, what? Yeah, thank you for admitting it. So now he says, oh, the poor, the rich are so poor, they give so much more than everyone else. Do they? Let's look at graphic 3. Graphic 3 shows you the percentage of your income that people put into Social Security. So the bottom 20%, they put in a little bit less, 8.4% than the average. The middle class pays up to 10.4%. They pay the biggest chunk, right? By the time you get to the richest 1%, they're paying about 3.1%. Yeah. A much, much smaller percentage of their income than the poorest 20%.
And let's explain why. I mean, we've explained this on the show before, but it's really important for people to know, right? For wealthy people, they don't pay Social Security taxes on the entirety of their income. There is a cap. So let's say we're talking about someone who makes a giant salary, right? After you earn a certain amount of money each year, the federal government stops taxing you for Social Security. The vast majority of Americans never hit that cap, never surpass that cap. But the very wealthy, right? They get to a point where I forget the exact number this year, right? But it gets to a certain point in your income where you're no longer taxed for Social Security. So the way he's framing it makes it seem as though, oh, the poor are stealing from the rich, right? It's not fair. The rich are paying into the system, they're paying way more into the system, and they're getting way less in return. But they get taxed less when you consider the percentage of their income that ends up getting taxed for Social Security.
So his sophistry is, He says, well, look, basically in essence what he's saying, when you look at raw numbers, if you make $250,000 and you pay, let's make up a hypothetical here so the math is easy, 10%, you're giving $25,000. But if you're only making $25,000 a year and you give 10%, you're only paying $2,500. So the guy making 10 times as much is putting in 10 times as much in raw dollars. Yeah, that's because he's making $250,000. Now the guy's making $25,000, can barely survive.
Right.
And he still puts money in. He still puts a lot of money in, right? And so now they're saying, no, above that number, which is around, around that 200,000 mark. No, we don't want to pay it. But that's it. That's enough. I don't want to pay it anymore. And it's up to you guys. Now, gee, I wonder which side Ron Johnson's on.
Right.
Now, I'm going to explain the progressive position in a second. But to give you a sense of why Ron Johnson might think what he does, let's look at graphic 4. Let's see how much, which camp Ron Johnson is in. Oh, he's the 6th richest person in the Senate with an estimated net worth of over $39 million.
Guys, can you imagine, this is a thing that drives me crazy. Can you imagine being that wealthy and being upset about Social Security taxes?
No, it's no, and so look, this is important. So he's personally wealthy, and if you have that kind of money and you still need more, there's something deeply wrong with you, right? But that's not the main issue here. The main issue is all of his donors collectively have maybe trillions of dollars on the line. And so they're all telling him, you better make sure that they don't touch our money, okay? Crush the poor and especially crush the middle class. But do not let them touch our money. And like a dog, he goes out there and goes, Social Security, who needs it, man? Remember when we were booing and saying that we wouldn't cut Social Security? We were lying. As always, we're Republicans. All we ever do is lie, lie, lie. And by the way, the leader of the Republicans in the House, Kevin McCarthy, the one who just swore up and down that they weren't gonna cut Social Security and Medicare, now he's saying, look, man, painful cuts have to be on the table. So we're gonna have to put those cuts. We told you. Giant, enormous liars. Look, politicians overall are huge liars. I know mainstream media says they're noble people, okay? But Republican politicians almost never tell the truth. And so the progressive proposal, sorry, Anna, would add generations of solvency to Social Security. So you would, for generation after generation, you would never have to worry about Social Security running out. And people would get $200 a month extra in Social Security. My parents on Social Security, they would love $200 more per month. All you have to do is tax everyone instead of having a maximum cap. That's it. It's super easy to solve. The rich just refuse to help.
I do want to go to one more video of Ron Johnson, okay? So let me set it up. So further arguing during Wednesday's hearing that Social Security was not meant to be a general welfare system, Johnson turned to Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy Executive Director Amy Hanauer, who testified that our tax system raises far too little from those with the most, to ask what he called a very simple question. So let's watch. What was that very simple question?
Out of $1 of income that any American makes, how much should be the maximum amount the government takes out in total? What is the total maximum tax rate on $1 of income?
I think we should think about the kind of country we want to have, and then have
I just want a percent. I mean, you've already thought about that. How much do we ought to take out of $1 of income?
We had 400 billionaires who paid less than 8% tax rate, so more than that.
The top 1% pays 40% of all income taxes, okay? I don't know at what point in time is a fair share. It is telling that I can never get a progressive witness to tell me what the maximum percentage is they want to tax $1 of income. And you're not willing to do it.
Senator, when we consider all taxes, the top 1% pays about 24% of taxes.
And they make 22% of income. That's pretty fair.
22% of income. It strikes me
they're still paying a higher level of tax than they get in the income.
So
we can argue with that, but again, I'm just asking.
In a society where the wealthiest are getting more and more of our income, they can afford to chip in more to maintain the systems that enable them to build that wealth in the first place.
And that's what the Republican Party wants to avoid having to be honest about. It's the percentage of income that the wealthiest among us end up paying toward taxes. And when you consider that those earning far less are contributing a much larger percentage of their income to taxes, how can you not get when you look at the anger in the country Can you not understand where it's stemming from? Right? The system is unstable, right? Or what the system is producing right now. The failures of Congress, the unmitigated greed that you witness, not just among corporate executives, but among members of Congress who themselves are incredibly wealthy. That leads to an unstable society. Okay, the inequality that we're experiencing right now when it comes to both income and wealth is leading to the anger, it's leading to the division, and Ron Johnson wants more of it. He wants to decimate one of the most popular social programs in American history. It's just amazing to me how they look at the inequality and they're like, we want more. We want more.
Yeah, and they say it brazenly. So look, last thing is that a Democratic senator made the point I was gonna make, which is pretty rare. So way to fight back, Sheldon Whitehouse, Democratic senator from Rhode Island. I told you sometimes he's actually quite a brilliant guy and doesn't make some good points. So that little magic trick that Ron Johnson did, I mean, why don't you tell me how much we should tax a dollar? Tell me a random dollar how much we should tax it. So Whitehouse responded, it would make a very big difference to me in how much we should be taxed on a dollar of income, whether it was the first dollar of income of an individual or their billionth dollar of income. Exactly. It's a magic trick. When I made $24,000 a year, every dollar you taxed me, literally took food off my table, right? When I was a cable news anchor, it didn't matter at all. I'm being honest with you. It didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
So it makes all the difference. Where is that dollar that's being taxed? The marginal rate, the top marginal rate, only goes to the richest people above a certain number. It doesn't apply to you guys. And the rich hate that.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, it's just so we can afford, because we can afford it, you're taking a little bit more from us. Yeah, that's how a fair society works. But they don't want a fair society. They want every advantage for themselves.
So guys, I wanted to give you an accurate number. And so for this year, for the year of 2023, any income above $160,200 is no longer taxed for Social Security, okay? So everything up to about $160,000 is taxed for Social Security. Anything above that amount, not taxed for Social Security.
Not taxing above 160,000 is insane. Look, they get taxed on other things, but we all put into Social Security. We all get it out. It makes us a unified country. It's a rare thing where we're all in it together. And the rich go, yeah, but only up to $160,000. And then they have goons like Ron Johnson, both for his own interest and for his donors' interest, that fight you like hell while pretending they're on your side.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.